And we're rolling. So today is the 5th of July, 2023. So the old agenda is still going on. If you look across here, right there, that's a hospital. And I had a friend of mine, he was in there with cancer, and I'd go to visit him, and still got the mask mandates. I was up in Edmonton, and a friend of mine, he had some just elective surgery, so I took him to that hospital. Same thing. Get the mask on. I'm like, still? And they go, yep. Alberta Health, AHS, that's their policy. Even though it's pretty much well known now that there is no danger. Doctors have come out and said that masks don't do anything. They're for specific reasons, and it's one of the reasons is not to prevent you from getting a disease, because it won't. What they say, it's like trying to stop mosquitoes with a chain link fence, kind of that idea. It's like a bee flying through the Holland Tunnel kind of thing. Viruses are very, very small. They're measured in nanometers, and that's smaller than microns. So it was all politically motivated, of course. You know, what else is new? You know what? I'm going to just walk through here. There's some guys that do the walk and talks with have a dog, or I don't have a dog. I wish I did, actually. I had a dog, but when the wife and I split up, she got the dog. Oh, Jerry Reed, she got the gold mine and I got the shaft. That's not true. That's not true. I thought the deal was pretty equitable, because my deepest desire as a husband and a father was to make sure the children and my wife would have a home to live in, and I always made good on that one, and even after we split up. So, you know, try your best, eh? Try not to hold it against anybody, and because when you got hatred in your heart, you anger in your heart, what happens? It doesn't hurt the individual that you hate. It hurts you. And I realize it's hard not to hold a grudge, and it's hard not to stay angry at someone that you thought really did you wrong. But that's what turning the other cheek's all about, you see. It doesn't mean that, someone breaks into your house and, wants to hurt you or hurt your family or steal from you. That doesn't mean you should just sit there and turn the other cheek while they steal, because they could be violent and hurt you, hurt your loved ones. So in my humble opinion, as a Christian, you have a right to defend your life and your property. But turning the other cheek is something that you do, if someone cuts you off in traffic, say, instead of getting angry, you think, well, gee, at least I was paying attention. I'm sure they didn't mean to do that, because that's usually the case. And even if they did mean to do that, how is getting into a car wreck? Ooh. Somebody dropped some sunglasses there, but I'm just going to leave them there. And chances are they'll retrace their steps and go, oh, look, that. There they are. Oh, boy. Sure is a nice day here, I'll tell you that, boy. We got a bit of rain, now the sun is out, and the grass is up. It's looking good. I cut my grass yesterday. It looks nice. So anyway, yeah, when someone does something to you, sometimes they mean to do something bad to you. Like say a friend or a friend of a friend, you have a misunderstanding with the wife or whatever. In those situations, it's better to turn the other cheek. And you should. But the Lord did say if they want to take your coat, they'll give them your cloak also. So, I don't profess to know everything about it, but it just seems to me that common sense has to prevail here. But if you walk with God and are a believer, chances are you're going to avoid most bad situations in the first place. Because worshiping God isn't just about subservience to the Lord. He gives back, you see. And He gives back His protection. And if you have faith in Him and walk with Him, He'll protect you also. The Bible says that if you walk with God and serve God, serve the Lord, and worship Him, just like Job, there will be a hedge around you. You wear a cloak of decency. Boy, that goes a lot farther than anything else. I think Abraham Lincoln said you can catch more with a drop of honey than you could with a gallon of gall. And of course, he was talking about the hearts of men, right? And that's just good old common sense. So, a kind word or a helping hand when someone needs it. And you live in a community that you have a reputation for that. You won't have to worry about too much. Misfortune can fall on any one of us. That's true. But I think if you walk with the Lord and, it doesn't mean you have to be an evangelist and run around and be a proselyte or anything. Just, people will see it. They'll just see it on you. You don't have to go around telling everybody, just, people will see it. And the people that want to talk about Christ, they'll gravitate towards you. But I do admire the ones that go house to house and share the gospel. I admire that. And when they come to my house, I don't turn them away. I don't care what denomination they are or what church they're from. If they're Christians and call Christ their Savior and talk about the Word at my house, they're welcome to come to my house anytime. But what I mostly get is Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons come to my house. They're welcome to come in. Because who knows, you might be entertaining angels unawares. And people will laugh and say, oh, there's no angels. Oh, yes, there is. There's angels and there's also demons. Just remember that. Just like that movie says, angels and demons. Hello. And that stuff's real. Witches are real. I think I talked about that on a video I did. Spelling. Well, it's like I saw a guy talking about the English language and how many tricks there are in our language and how many words that have two meanings, and that's true. That is very true. It's a tricky language. There's other languages like Spanish that are more direct. German also. So I'd say that the English language is probably the language of witchcraft. What I mean is that's what witches would use. And other languages too, I'm sure, they mix in. Do their spells and do their little potions. You look at pharma, big pharma. Well, pharmakia can mean few things, but one of the things that it means is sorcery, witchcraft. What do witches do? They make potions. They cast spells. Hello. Right? They make their concoctions and inject them into people. And now we're finding out that I suggest you look into Pfizer and see their history. It's an old company. Been around for quite a while. And they've paid the largest fines ever for malfeasance, for lying to regulators, lying to doctors, bribing regulators, that kind of stuff. To help get certain drugs on the market that were really not good. And then we get to these jabs, of course. But the vaccine companies, they love it because it's a slam dunk. Because our government signed these agreements with them. No liabilities, right? Well, geez, if I could make something, that kind of money and not have to worry about any kind of lawsuits, I'd be right into it, right? If I was a businessman, if I was like one of these evil bastards, that makes sense, right? Yeah. Oh boy. But they have so much money and so much influence. They just go to court. Okay, they paid a big fine to collapse a company and then start up another one. You couldn't litigate these guys out of business if you tried. There's no way. Their pockets are too deep. And their tentacles go too far. So the only way you beat it is just don't take any products that they make. If people did that, they'd be out of business. If they couldn't sell anything, how could you stay in business if you couldn't sell anything, or your sales were so low it just wouldn't make sense to even manufacture it? Because that's what has to happen. If any of these guys see any kind of justice, well, it's a lot easier for the justice to come when they're broke. Nobody wants them anymore, and everybody in the country wants a piece of them because of the damage that they've done to everybody. That's how it has to be. But the problem is big media, pop culture, all that pushes it. I was a believer at one time. I thought, vaccines were good, and they were, they caused the eradication of many diseases, but as you look into it, you find out that's not true. The improvement in sanitation in our infrastructure is what really changed the game. Not the vaccines, it might have helped in cases, I don't know. And I'm not saying they're good or bad in those cases, like the old ones, I had the one, but you can't tell me that, they're such good guys. If you had a restaurant in your town and they kept doing health violations, people getting poisoned by the food, and then they go back into business, they get up and running, and it happens again. And it keeps happening. I got a question for you. Would you go to that restaurant anymore that had that kind of record? No, you wouldn't go there. That's right. And that's just a restaurant. This is Big Pharma that's caused all kinds of deaths and people injured from their products, these jabs too. Can't tell me. That's been horrible what's going on, and nobody's stopping it. So the only way it stops is with us. We got the power. Just don't tell your friends. Don't take it. And convince them. Right? You're not going to go to a bunch of criminals and ask them that, that have been, and they're criminals. I'm not even exaggerating here. They've lost so many times in court and had to pay huge fines because of what they've done. And you're going to trust them now? Just like the politicians when they lie to you, and they lie, but you think, this time they're telling the truth. They're not going to tell you the truth unless it suits their agenda. And that's all there is to it.